I am back again. So by the time this comes out, I probably released like maybe 3 videos already. And also by the time this comes out, there was already a trailer edit for my films I released in 2022. Now, I don't know if it'll be released during February or March. I know that's such a long time, and to me, I find it such a bummer for that. So it either could get canceled, and that could just be the films I watched in this year, hence the description. But of course, the main issue with that video I had was the fact that, the video was actually, I wouldn't say it's canceled or the trailer or the video couldn't be released. It's just I had to mute the music, unfortunately, because the music was copyrighted. So it got temporarily blocked. So I had to mute it, and after muting it, it basically it did well, but unfortunately it didn't really, I don't have a good music, and the more I think about it, the more I was like, how am I going to upload this? How am I going to upload this one video and make sure, like, there's some at least catchy music or something like that, and there's no copyright. So yeah, that's just my news that that video could that the movies I've seen in 2022 reviewed and ranked could potentially, and I mean could potentially, get scrapped, and which is a shame. I know. So yeah, that's just what I'm gonna say. And also, by the time this rolls out, the Carnage, Marvel Select Carnage, Marvel Select Anti-Venom, and the Marvel Legends and Mysterio review is already released. So, yeah. But what does this have to do with Armored Darkseid? Absolutely nothing. And as I said before, yes, tonight's review is going to be the DC Multiverse, Zack Snyder's Justice League gold-labeled Armored Darkseid. Yes, so here's the figure right now. Here is the back of the box. Now, notice, once you turn to the side, if you compare this to Swamp Thing or any other character from the DC Multiverse line, you would notice that this is very slim. Now, my main question is, for slimmer characters, why can't we get a box like this than a oversized box that will take up most of the space? But anyways, it says Darkseid Armored, Zack says Justice League 2021, right there. McFarlane Toys at the bottom. On the top, nothing there. I forgot to mention on the front, there is a gold label sticker right there, but it doesn't really come off. It's more of a stamp. And on the other side, Darkseid Armor on the bottom, barcode, UPC, and on the back, we get a black and white photo of Darkseid, and we get the figures that you can get from this wave. Anyone get some sort of goosebumps when they see this? Because back in the day, they would show all the figures you could get from the wave. Now, they just released just the promo art of just the cards. So, yeah. Anyways, let's actually get this review going. Oh, no. Let's get this review going on the figure. Let's go and start with the usual, and that is everything. Everything along with it. So let's get to it. The spear for this one. But anyways, let's start with the paint and the sculpt. Now, paint-wise, you could say a lot about it, but you can't deny that the sculpting on this figure was actually really good. For example, that head sculpt. Add the light to it. The eye paint looks nicely well done, with some of that red and almost yellow-like detail, alongside some added rubber on the side of the head right here, and it looks nicely well done. However, it may seem a little transparent, considering if you shine a light through it, there's a little bit of glow. Little bit. But yeah, this is a separate piece rather than a one whole piece. But as you could see under there, this is a separate piece. As you could tell, the regular head right here is just some ordinary head. And this is the secondary part. Moving on to the arms, nicely well done and nicely detailed too. However, I will admit, yes, I feel like it does need to be a tad bit darker. I don't know. It feels like it needs to be darker for the sake of the movie. And you can see the nicely painted gauntlets and also nicely sculpted gauntlets. Although paint might sound like an understatement because it does feel like it's lacking. However, if you own this figure by any chance, you would know that this figure has his hand like this. So, and if you push this down, yes, it does look a little awkward. But also how my copy is ready to break. Might have to glue that. But anyways, moving on to the torso. This is the reason why I wanted this one rather than the regular one. This piece right here. It covers up what is essentially a very skinnier version of the figure, and it just looks way better. It cuts a better silhouette, a better shape. And while, yes, it's not as muscularly bulky as the other figures, as you know how they described it, it does look nice and it doesn't look like an eyesore. And also, again, it's nicely painted and nicely sculpted too. But again, paint could be an understatement, because paint-wise, it feels like it needs a lot. But as you could see, the nice plating detail right there. And you could even see some sort of Black Lantern ring symbol right here. I don't know. That's what fans have been saying. And then you could see the loincloth. Again, nicely sculpted. That's what Todd is really good at, just this beautiful sculpt. Although, be aware of this piece, because it does feel like it could tear at any moment. But yes, that is really nice, but also, again, really scary. Moving on to the legs, just some standard legs with just some armor, which is nice, along with the calves. Nicely armored, along with the boots. However, again, as I mentioned before, while the sculpt is really nicely well done, the paint could be a hit or miss or two. Considering that I feel like the skin was a lot darker in the movie, and I've seen customs of this where, again, they added a black wash to the skin, and no, if I'm being racist, I am sorry. I just don't know how to describe it in the best way or form, but anyways, I do feel that this is a very nicely well done figure in terms of sculpt. And it does have a unique presence to him, but I do feel that paint is a little lacking than just gray and blue with some colors on the eyes. I don't know, maybe add a little bit of a dark wash to again, his skin, or maybe a little more weathering to his armor. I don't know. But otherwise, to accessories, before we move on to articulation, he doesn't really come with much, just like most DC Multiverse figures. He comes with a nice trusty stand. I say trusty because these are really good for certain figures that have terrible, terrible hips. Or terrible, like, standing positions. And just can't stand, and they're just very loose, either in the legs or in the feet. And, of course, he has, I think this is a spear, not really a trident. Trident would be like Aquaman, but this is really well done. Although it's very rubbery, so be warned. But yeah, this is awesome. This looks like something straight out of Transformers. And it's nicely well done. Even has a little bit of a dark wash to it, maybe a dry brush to it. This is awesome. Nice, awesome piece. And this goes onto his hand like so. But unfortunately, his hand has no rubber grip, so you may have to sort of press it in by this portion and then pull out like so. So like this. But then again, it could potentially bend, or it could really hurt this figure. So if you want to do that, hair dry it. But get this out of here. You could do it also with just the main piece, doesn't really matter. And of course, you get a card right here, again, of the box art, and then a stats on the back, which is also, instead of replacing with the blue, it is black. So read it right there. All right, now we move on to, I feel like, the best part of this figure, the articulation. Overall, articulation on this figure is good, and maybe some will say this is better than that of the other Mega figures that were released later down the line, such as like Clayface or Titan Joker or Bane, and I'm just listing down examples. So, but anyways, I think let's just go over it. Head is on a barbell joint. He can look up really well and look down, not that much, but good enough to look at smaller characters. He can tilt and rotate. Arms can go 360. Do be warned of the arms, because they're on the clicky joint. And I feel like this goes with any other Mega figure in this DC Multiverse line. So be warned. Also, another thing to note, some copies apparently of this figure had their elbows fall off. And mine doesn't have that issue. So, but again, be warned if that happens. I'm thinking it right now. I think that's the reason why Todd decided to just give us solid arm joints rather than a bicep swivel. And the only swivel they would get is like something between the forearm rather than a bicep swivel. Because maybe he looked at the quality with Darkseid, Steppenwolf, and Swamp Thing and thought, man, maybe I shouldn't do this, and just decided to just make the swivel here just one whole piece you could swivel, and then the arm here a solid piece. Maybe that's the reason why he decided to do those, and that's why people have been complaining, why is there no bicep swivel? Double jointed on the elbows, occasionally a little tight. Hinge joint wrist with swivel, not those ball jointed wrists that we've seen on the previous figures. No diaphragm joint, unfortunately, but he does have a waist articulate. He does have a lot of articulation here. I am curious to see how people would have actually be able to remove this and see the articulation there. Considering if you feel it here, there's nothing there. There's nothing really there, but as you can see, there's something there. So yeah, legs can kick up, back pretty well. Spread kick to the side very well. So beautiful spread. But also, do you see that? Do you see that? That's why this figure needs a stand. Loose legs. Are you kidding me? But I feel like this is the one DC Multiverse figure that no one really talks about in terms of thigh articulation, because it kind of does. And even more, it only has a single jointed knee, and it has, as you could see, a ball joint right there. So the ball jointed ankles, which give me some anxiety. But yeah, they work well if you know how to pose them well, because they could be kind of tight. So posability overall is pretty good. I mean, it had some things such as the bicep swivels, but I also feel like that, just compared to other figures, I'd say it's good in terms of articulation. Better than that of, let's say, maybe even more Bane, which is such a shame because he's probably my favorite Mega figure. But yeah, you can get some really nice, intimidating poses with this figure. So, moving on to the final two segments, the size comparison and the final thoughts. Let's move on to it. On a scale-based level, this guy stands at almost 10 inches. As you could probably see right there. I don't know how tall it is, but it's somewhere close to 10 to 9.5 maybe. And for some comparisons, I don't have any other DC Multiverse on display because, as you can see right there, it was mostly a Marvel review. So this is the only DC Multiverse I have out on display, with all the boxes. But anyways, here is him compared to that of the Marvel Select Carnage and the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. So anyways, let's move on to my final thoughts. I got him to do one of the sickest poses in the movie right here on this card. Anyways, buy now, skip, or skip because this is a Go label. And spoiler alert, this thing apparently was a Target exclusive. So So, or a Walmart exclusive, I don't know. But it was exclusive nonetheless. I don't know why they made this one exclusive and made the unarmored version a regular release, but I guess it's because this look we've only seen like one time, and it was like maybe a few seconds to a minute. But yeah, if you want to find them, good luck. But overall, I do feel that this is a big improvement over the previous Darkseid, which I've not bought, but I have seen in stores, and yeah, that figure kind of sucks. It's too skinny, and it's too just uncanny, although in terms of articulation, it would kind of get the edge over this one, considering there's no armor piece to really cover it. But anyways, I do prefer this look a lot more. It's more detailed and a lot more armored, and I feel like this, you might like that. In terms of paint, it could have been maybe a little better, maybe some pieces of paint, but sculpt, I think it did really well. It does capture a unique presence. Articulation's really good. I'd say it's probably a lot better than that of it's a lot better than that of like most mega figures nowadays, because like the only one I'd say that's better than this was Titan Joker, but I do prefer this over Titan Joker, considering it functions well. Just so yeah, overall, if you're a big fan of Darkseid, and even more a big fan of this movie, I suggest you get it. But if you can find it at a good price. Otherwise, I'm sorry when I say this, I feel like if you just want, if you want a readily available Darkseid, just get the one from the regular line, where it's more unarmored, and even though it looks a little uglier, or you can wait until Todd makes a new 52 or some sort of classic version of Darkseid, which I feel like he would do, considering he did the same with Aquaman, in a way, ish. So yeah, out of 10, I'm going to give him a solid 8. He's good, probably the best out of the whole wave, besides out of the reviews I've done, except Carnage. But anyways, yep, that goes for the final review for this week, and I will set up a bunch of other reviews this week, and I'll set up a bunch of reviews next week. So anyways, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, and I will see you all when I upload, finally. Bye-bye.